LeetCode Problem number 19. Remove nth node from end of list. So this problem gives us the head of a linked list, and we must remove the nth node from the end of the list, and then we have to return its head. So for example, we have this linked list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say n is 2. So from the back 1, 2, so that means we have to remove 4, and the resulting linked list will be 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, my solution to this problem is pretty straightforward, where I just used a normal iterative approach. So at the start, I calculate the length. So let's say our length is now 0. And then I have the a temp, which is like this, 4, 5, and I have a previous, which is null. So at the start, I calculate the length. So let's say for this particular linked list, the length would be 5. Right, so now my length is 5. I'll move this down because we need it later. Alright, so this if statement basically will check whether or not if length is lesser or equal than 1. If it is, we can just return null. Right. Okay. After that, what we do is we what so my approach to this problem is to use a normal iterative approach where I count from the back. And how I do that is I'll explain in a bit, but for now I need to know the length. So I have a length, which we don't know right now. We have a temp, which I will use the example 5, and then we have a previous, which is null. Okay, the first for loop is basically used to count how many nodes are there in this linked list. And for this particular linked list, there will be 5, so our length will be 5. Okay, this if statements will check whether or not our length is lesser than 1. If it is, that means there's technically nothing for us to remove, right? Or yeah. So my approach to this problem is to use a iterative approach where I count from the back and I remove using the length of the linked list minusing the end value. Okay, so for that I will need the length, which we don't know yet. The temp, I'll be using the head, right? Technically we don't need the temp here. Yeah, no, we do, because we have to return the head. So this temp linked list is basically is the one that we'll be iterating. Right, so temp we'll be using the example for 5 now. So this will be our temp, and then our previous is null. So this previous will be basically tracking the previous node of the node that we are iterating on. Explain more about it later. But the first for loop is what we'll use to count how many nodes are there in the linked list. So for this particular linked list, there is 5 nodes, so our length will be 5. After that, since our temp has iterated until now, right? Because temp next we have to replace temp with the head, right? So that it's brand new again. Alright, and then after that, I use another for loop where this time I check whether or not len minus n, okay, let's say n is 2, the same example, n is 2, is more than 0 or not. And if we minus it, 5 minus 2 is 3, right? So 5 minus 2, this will give us 3. That means we have not reached our node yet, right? Okay, so what we have to do is our previous will now become our temp, which is 1. I'll just put 1 here, but technically it is the entire linked list. And our temp will become temp next, right? So our temp will move forward. Right. After that, we reduce the length, and then we count again. So 4 minus 2 is now, this will give us 2, which is still more than 0, so we don't do anything. So our previous will equals to temp again. So this will be updated like this, and our temp will move forward again. Okay, and our length will reduce, we reducted, and then we minus again. 3 minus 2 is 1, still more than 0, so our previous have to move. Have to be updated again. Our time will move forward once more. Okay, now here, when len is now 2, right? The current length of our temp is now 2. When the length minus n is we'll get 0, right? So it's not more than 0 anymore. So this for loop will end, right? This if statement basically checks whether or not we are at null, right? We are at the end of the linked list, but in this case it's not. So what happened is the previous next, right? The previous, basically this tree will now point to, okay, remember how originally the linked list was like this? So now this tree will now point to temp next, will now point to 5. Right, so this tree will basically skip the 4 and point straight to 5. So we essentially just removed 4 from the linked list, and then we return the head. Okay, so once we return this is basically the linked list that we have removed the nth value, which is 4. Yeah, pretty straightforward. That's all I have to show. Thanks.